Good evening and welcome to Information Please, your Peoria Public Library on the air. We're bringing you information about your library and your community. This evening I have Cynthia Smith from Lincoln Branch, and she's going to tell us about the Black History Month events that are going on at all Peoria Public Libraries. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
Well, it's February already.
Yes, we're excited about February.
February's always a big month.
Yeah, it really is, and we have a lot of stuff going on at the library.
We do, always.
We do.
One of the highlights of this month for a long time has been our Black History Month celebrations, and as usual, you're not going to disappoint us.
Well, we hope not.
You
don't want to.
Always have something new and exciting and original.
Yes, we do. We do, and you know, what a way to kick it off again. It's like kicking off the new year.
Yeah.
And with February, Black History Month, and we're excited.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited.
Sometimes people say, oh, you know, why do you have all those things at the library? But the point is it's a shared experience. It's our community.
Absolutely.
We want people to come together and learn in whatever way you can, and whether that's learning by watching a movie or hearing poetry, which I think we're going to get to do.
Yeah.
But then the great thing is you're in the library and you can go check out a book and learn more.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what so many people do.
Absolutely. We like to share the knowledge.
Yeah.
And what a way to share. So we have different forms and formats and everything. Yeah. So for Black History, we're excited.
Absolutely.
We're excited.
Well, why don't you just start right in and tell us about some of the great things you have going on.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with One Night, One Mic. That's poetry, and we're so excited. It's at the Lincoln Branch Library, and we have our guest host, Brandon Thornton, and we're going to specialize or really focus on Richard Pryor. As you know, he's a native. He was a native of this city, Peoria, and I've always wanted to do something honoring Richard Pryor, and this gave us the opportunity to be able to do it in the form of poetry. And Brandon is known in the community. He's a math teacher at Manual. He travels all over doing stand-up poetry at colleges, you know, universities, you name it. He goes there, and he has a huge following of other poets that come and share their experiences in the form of poetry, and we happen to focus on Black history. So there'll be poets there that are going to talk about or express Black history moments and Richard Pryor. So it's going to be an exciting evening. I'm kind of geeked about that.
Yeah, it is exciting, and I think it's a great thing, because so often there's this controversy about, oh, well, Richard Pryor was controversial, and should we celebrate him? Of course we should.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
of course we should. And that's, the library is also about exploring all sides of something. And
absolutely.
So you've got the opportunity here to hear live poetry from someone who is, you know, if you read about Brandon, he's really set the world on fire around here locally with the poetry that he does. And so is this going to be something that someone can just walk in and do poetry, or do you have, you know?
You know what? It's going to be a little bit of both.
So
you know,
open mic.
If someone feels like, you know, they're being, you know, inspired to get up and do poetry, this would be the time to do it. One night, one mic. We'll just put it in the center of the floor, and they'll be surrounded by onlookers and
people who want to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great forum to actually talk about Black history and moments that maybe our kids aren't aware of, you know, especially the younger generation.
Yes.
Because, you know, I wonder about the younger generation knowing really Richard Pryor.
Yeah, I do too, because so often he has been squelched. And of course, you and I grew up when he was becoming famous and went to the theater and saw his movies, and those things just aren't out there so much on TV, and just, I just giggle thinking about it.
I know, he's funny. I was trying to do get some background information, you know, and
you start laughing when you remember the movies and the pictures.
Right,
you start
absolutely.
laughing.
And my staff would come in and like, what are you just giggling about? I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm doing this research on Richard Pryor, and I can't get through it because
you're laughing
he's
too much.
So funny. But we're at that One Night, One Mic poetry honoring Richard Pryor at the Lincoln Branch.
Okay, what day?
February 7th.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday.
It is a Thursday, February 7th from 5 to 6, and we hope everyone comes out and enjoy themselves, and we plan on having a really good time.
That'll be great.
Really good time.
Yeah.
And then we want to follow up with, as I'm looking at my notes, Richard Pryor Shout Out Trivia and Movie Night. And we're going to be showing Brewster's Millions. And we're going to do trivia, and if you can guess that trivia, you will get a really special
something.
Yes, yes. So we're excited about that, and we hope everyone comes out for that. So February 21st, that's another Thursday. So we hope everyone come out 6 to 7:45, and it should be a really fun evening.
That will be.
I've had a lot of patrons request, or and ask, oh my God, Brewster's Million, and what is the shout out, it's going to be. I'm like, oh, you got to come for that.
Yeah.
But it should be interesting, and see if they really knew who Richard Pryor was.
Yeah,
so.
what they know about him.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is this isn't like, rolling a TV in and watching it. We've got the big screen, digital sound. It's pretty close to movie theater experience. and that's the other reason to come to movies at the libraries, is because now we have these great projection systems with this great sound. And I don't care how big your TV is at home, you just don't get that same experience.
It's not the same.
No.
So it is. No. It's almost like a movie setting, So we're excited.
And there's always something too about sharing that experience with people, outside. I mean, you can sit on your couch and watch a movie on your big screen TV. That's not going to be the same as being in a room full of people who are also laughing and enjoying.
Right, and reminiscing and, educating those that are coming in for the first time and not really knowing who Mr. Pryor was. And so I think it's just, it'll be a great experience for everybody all around. So we hope that everyone comes out and be with us for Black History Month.
That'll be great.
But that's just 2 things.
We got
several
more
things going on.
We've got more.
So February 23rd, we have a movie, Ruby Bridges, that we'll be showing. And it's an inspirational movie about a young girl going into a segregated or desegregating the school for the first time. So we're really excited about that.
Some history lessons and a peek into what times used to be like.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to know that. In the classrooms, of course, they talk about like Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln and all the Martin Luther King, and we hear that a lot, and that's great because we still want to instill those people and the trails that they blaze for us. But we also want to know different things as well. So, and there's a lot to share.
And that one's at McClure Branch.
That is at McClure Branch at 2:30 to 4:30. So get out there. We want you at all the locations for Black History.
Yes.
And then we also have we're going to go back to February 5th, Black History celebration of Zora's Roots. And this is a documentary of Zora Neale Hurston. And I have my favorite quote from her is, once you wake up thought in a man, you can never ever put it to sleep again. And I always tell my kids that,
That's very true.
A teacher can spark something in you, or a book can spark something in you, and once it's woken, you just run with it. It just takes you. So,
and that's why the library is so important.
Absolutely.
Because the library is the place that so many people experience their lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
And no matter how many years you go to school, once you've started thinking, you can't stop. And everything you see and hear, you want to know more. You want to know more.
You do. You do. And it's great for the new expansion at the Lincoln Branch, and to see the kids, buy the book bins, and they're on the floor and they have the book open and they're excited. I'm excited. So it's like, hey, they're waking up that thought process. So we're very excited to show this documentary so you can see a whole different side of Zora Neale Hurston, and we're very excited about it. So Lincoln Branch, 5 to 6, February 5th. Which happens to be my birthday.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, just stop by and say happy
birthday and come and celebrate with us with Zora Neale Hurston. So
yeah, great.
That would be a wonderful thing. So we have other things that's going on too. We have something that's going to be at North Branch, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And if I can remember it, is Jazzy Pajama Story Time.
Yep.
So that is going to be from 7 to 7:45 on February 11th. And with that, the kids get to come in their pajamas, and of course, there has to be music, because you say jazzy.
Yes.
So
yes.
I guess we're going to reminisce with the history and of jazz and of some of those greats.
Great way to introduce small children to Black history and get them to start to be aware that there's things they may not know. And we're talking little tiny ones, but gosh, I mean, that story time is for all ages. And I know families come and they've got the kids from the babies on up and, you know, to older ages. And so they have a great time. They bring their blankets, they spread them out. So the kids are ready to pop in bed as soon as they get home.
Oh, absolutely.
But in the meantime, it's just kind of like take out bedtime story. But it's a great introduction for the little ones and folks who just are getting started on their exploration of Black history.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we'll have displays at locations of books and they can check out and look at and see what else was there and what was created through these great people that did a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah, a lot of sacrifices.
Absolutely.
And too often, I think people don't understand how much our whole society owes to the inventions, the advancements of people of color, people from all different parts of the world. It's truly amazing. Have you got a favorite story about someone who you really admire, who's invented something, done something?
Well, you know, I have several. One really was close to my heart, and that was my dad. Who was born back in 1919. And he
same year as my mother.
He's a World War II veteran. And he told us a lot of stories of his hardship and how he grew up and the things that he had to go through.
It was a difficult
It's very
time.
Difficult, you know, where as a kid you just can't imagine that because, you know.
That's not how you were treated.
Absolutely. So it was much respect and for my dad because of what he went through. But like I said, Zora Neale Hurston, you know, I just love the trailblazer that she did with her poetry and her writing. It makes you think, you know, and it makes you like for her to be back in the Harlem Renaissance era. And you have all these jazzy people and you can see the women and the guys, how they dressed and presented themselves, which was very regal. You know, you didn't, you know, of course today we come out in jeans and gym shoes. But back then, you know, you had the men with shoes were so shiny that you can see your face and your reflection. And the women dressed very, very dignified and but also with a little jazz to it. And they spoke very intelligent and they presented themselves in that way and actually it really, you can go back and look at it, it can teach you something now. So we're absolutely. So there's so many that I do admire and cherish. That wow.
I always enjoy so many of the stories about the Harlem Renaissance and the artists, artists and musicians and incredible people like, well, I'm probably scrambling up my history here, but people like Josephine Baker, who was such a hit in Paris. And I have her songs in my iPod.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're scratchy, you know, because the recordings were so, and they clean them up the best they can, but what a lovely thing to listen to. And there's just so much to learn during Black History Month that people aren't aware of. And I got my Josephine Baker from Peoria Public Library.
Well, where else?
Yeah, where else are you going to find that? Exactly.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. And we just want to share that wealth of information, and hopefully they'll pass it on to their brothers and sisters or fathers and mothers, and and see where it could take them.
And what I would like people to do this month is instead of being focused on individual stories, you hear about Richard Pryor, well, let's use that as a gateway to see the big broad view of all the wonderful entertainers, artists, musicians, people who invented things that have changed our lives and the way we live and that we couldn't do without. That's what my hope for this month is that people don't stop or don't take the one story and go, but continue to learn all year long so much more.
Absolutely, because Richard Pryor really was a trailblazer for the comedians today.
He was.
And they give him tribute to that.
Yeah, and I think it's important too for kids growing up in Peoria to know that, okay, this person came from really bad circumstances.
Absolutely.
In the heart of Peoria,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the poorest part of Peoria, but you don't, that doesn't have to stop you.
Right, right. And
It
that
doesn't
is a
have to stop
message
you.
that we definitely need to be heard. Because, you know, you do find that there's kids that are in circumstances that they don't think they can get out of.
Yeah,
And
they feel trapped.
Absolutely. And we know that there's another path that you can take. So hopefully.
Yeah. Well, Lincoln Branch is doing a lot to open doorways for people. You have both your Project Next Generation and your Front and Center programs.
Absolutely.
And so maybe we could talk a little bit about those while we're talking about opening doors, because those are such important programs at Lincoln Branch.
Well, I'm very proud of Project Next Generation. We've been doing it for 10 years now. And it is for 5th and 8th grade students, where they can come in and actually get trained on the computers. And I have 3 mentors who are wonderful. Brandon is one of them, Brandon Thornton. He's on board with us this year. And we're just really excited because there's different things that these mentors teach these kids. Graphic design is one, giving them that knowledge. And I have a mentor who is a graduate, and her field is in graphic design.
That's
so
great.
Yes, it's just wonderful. And then we make sure that their homework gets done before we do any of this, because it's an evening program. But they're in the computer lab. They're getting trained on everything from communications to graphic design, and even we're going to throw in some poetry and how to use your words and dictionary and the meaning of these words. So they're getting really a whole round of different things that are being thrown at them, where perhaps they wouldn't get it really at school or at home. And it's been wonderful. It really has been. So I'm excited about Project Next Generation.
Yeah. Well, and you look at just during the school day isn't enough, especially because so often the circumstances at school are that you can't give kids one-on-one attention. You may have one child who, you know, kind of sucks up all the energy in the room or has difficulties, and so it's the average kids that seem to just kind of slide
through.
And then the other thing is, you talk about at home, well, they could have parents who just aren't equipped to parent, but a lot of times you've got parents who are working 2 and 3 jobs.
Absolutely.
And they're not there because they've left job 1 and gone to job 2, and there's nobody there. And we all know you can't just set a kid down and, you know, it's the rare child that you just sit down and they learn by themselves. They need that encouragement and those, you know, guides to take them through things. So what a wonderful thing that Project Next Generation is there to help these.
Oh, absolutely.
Help these kids keep going.
Oh yeah, we do. We do whatever we can for the community, and they have responded back. Like I said, we've been doing it for 10 years, so the parents are excited about it, and they're very appreciative of it. They also get to go on field trips that we're doing, and hopefully we'll get to the museum, our new museum.
Well, that'll be fun.
That'll be real cool. And a trip to Springfield to see Mr. White, Jesse White, because this is a state-funded grant, Project Next Generation. So we're excited about it. The mentors are there. That word mentoring is that they also do that. If there's issues at school, they have a way of introducing that and bringing that out in the children. So it's just a well-rounded program, and like I said, it's something that was needed, obviously, and we're happy that we're doing it at Lincoln Branch. So
and the rest of us are too.
Good.
It takes a lot of extra work, I know.
Yes, it does.
Well, Front and Center was an old program back when Lincoln Branch was just the Carnegie Building, and you weren't open at night, but Front and Center was a special program that was started that allowed you to let a few folks in the doors in the evening into that rather awful old basement space you had with the pillars all over and the low ceiling and the cords running everywhere.
At the time, we thought it was great.
Yeah, at the time it was so wonderful, and now, of course, that's, you know, the basement has been relegated to storage. You have your beautiful new spaces, but Front and Center still exists in spirit.
It does.
And you're there to provide some extra help to the folks in your neighborhood with all sorts of things.
Yeah, my coordinator for that is Sherry Chris, and what she does is actually for adults and children, and so she creates those evening programs. We are open till 8. As before, we had closed at 6 and in the old building, and then once we got front and center set up and going, we extended those hours till 8. So that now just is a broader, it's a bigger field, because now we have more than one person that can actually, we can have 2 and 3 programs going on at the same time
to
in the evening.
Do that.
Absolutely. So it's
but
a great
you have
need.
extra help for folks with some, say, home maintenance. Somebody needs to know what to do about their, their leaky windows to save energy. And you've got the books and the materials, the information.
We do.
And you can help folks with the computers.
Absolutely. And we do have programs where we do have someone come in a specialty field and talk about things just like that in the evening time, because we all work during the day. And Front and Center has really been really put us in the front and center, we feel, in the community, because it's opened up so many doors where we're actually getting to know who our neighbors are.
Right.
And it's just been wonderful with that, because we feed off of each other. And they'll come in and say, hey, we would love to see, a senior program, or we would love to see this. And we're like, oh, wow, that's a good idea. We'll put it together. We'll see what we can make of it. And it has been a really great response for that. So we have the computer going, we have the meeting rooms going, and we have programs, whether we'll plop down and do a program in the middle of the floor in the children's area. But the Front and Center program really has helped us to go out into the community and be a part of the community. And we've been doing that for quite a while.
Time.
A very long time.
Well before you had your new building.
Absolutely, which actually turned into creating the Read On Book Club.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like, okay, these ladies are coming in, they're talking, and we want to close,
and they're still talking.
And they're still talking. So extending the Front and Center also helped us say, okay, well, let's go ahead and put together a book club, and let's see if we can get women to come in. And sure enough,
and you have a great book club.
I love. And
I remember that this
club.
month you're reading the. Are you reading The Man in 3B.
3B.
Man in 3B
by Carl Weber. That's coming in February. But for this month, we're reading God Don't Like Ugly.
Okay.
By Mary Monroe, whom I love. And we've had her books for years, and I just never got around to picking up a Mary Monroe book. And once I picked up the book, it was like, oh my God, look what I've been missing. So
it's wonderful to discover a new favorite author.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite things of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you meet on, it's what, the fourth, is it Tuesday? The fourth Tuesday at 5.
At 5 o'clock.
And you have some lively discussions. And
yes, we do.
Your book list is already out there for the year, so anybody who's interested in coming, you can see what the books are and you can read. And I know that if somebody hasn't finished or even started the book, you're not going to kick them out. You'll let them come.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We know that it's hard to take care of kids and work as well, and then to sit down and have some time for yourself. We understand.
And sometimes you'll read the book, and sometimes you'll be excited to finish it or pick it up.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what people don't understand about book clubs. A lot of times people don't want to come to the book club because I didn't get done, or I didn't have time to start this one, but you can come and talk about it.
Oh,
anyway.
Absolutely. You can come and talk about what you have read, and then we'll finish up and tell you what. We'll tell you, try to not ruin it for you, but really make you say, oh, I have got to finish reading this book. So the Read On Book Club is going strong, and this is our off year, but next year we'll be hosting an author. So we're excited.
Done some big authors and had some big parties.
Yes, we have. So I'm very thrilled and excited about the Read On Book Club.
Well, we started out talking about Black History Month, and we've traveled a far path since then. But if people are just tuning in, I would really like to go back and real quickly tell them the dates and times of our Black History Month events, because now they might be more interested and want to pay attention.
Well, I hope so. Absolutely. Well, let's start off with February 5th. We have the Black History Celebration of Zora's Roots at the Lincoln Branch Library from 5 to 6. So come out and see that documentary. February 7th, One Night, One Mic Poetry honoring Richard Pryor with Brandon Thornton, who's hosting. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, we want to see everybody at that one.
Yes, we do. We really do. Richard Pryor shout out trivia in a movie, February 21st, also at the Lincoln Branch Library. So come out. We got some fun things to give away. February 23rd, Black History movie with Ruby Bridges, an inspirational movie that is for everyone, and I'm sure everyone will love that. February 25th, we have the Black History Celebration also at Lincoln, and that is actually Moments in Black History. So the kids actually will be creating a collage.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a whole lot of fun, and that's actually part of our Front and Center program. So
there's a lot to do with that hands-on learning. Doing something like creating a collage.
Absolutely. And then we have February 11th. We have Jazzy Pajama Story Time at North Branch.
Yeah, for the whole family.
Whole family from 7 to 7:45. So you know, everyone needs to come on out and actually get involved and have some fun.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm glad you could take a minute and come and talk to me about all this great stuff.
Oh, thanks for having me.
February is Black History Month. It's also Valentine's Day, and we have lots and lots of movies that you can come and kind of get in the mood for romance. There's Academy Award movies because it's Academy Award season. So much going on. Of course, the kids can come in for Make It, Take It, and make Valentines and take them home. We have all of our usual story times. I've lost count at this point of how many we even have, but at each location there's multiple story times. And at Lincoln Branch, at Cynthia's branch we've just been talking about, there's 2 puppet shows in February. So if kids like puppet shows, that's the place to be at Lincoln Branch. All these events are free always. You can find them all on our website at peoriapubliclibrary.org or pick up kid events or passages. We'll see you next week on Information Please.